The Persona event has begun, so let's take a look at Joker. His first talent, Phantom Thief, increases the attack of all attackers, sharpshooters, and defenders by 700 or 1000 if the hit count is above 100 hits, and the exact same applies to casters except with their int stat. This is a very powerful talent because it's basically exclusive to Joker right now, and the 100 hit count is very easy to achieve as well, and 1000 is usually around a 30 or 40% buff to most characters, so it's really good. And his second talent, Arsene, fully reduces the damage that he takes whenever he uses Edge and Gunsmoke for 0.5 seconds, and whenever he uses Slash or Downshot Butterfly for 1 second. This talent gives Joker a bit of extra consistency because it gives you a bigger window to avoid attacks. Of course, it's not quite as powerful as Vanguard, but it does have a place. And his third talent, Rebellious Will, decreases his AP cost by 20% whenever he's not in front of the target. He gets an extra hit on skills, and his critical hit rate goes up by 50% whenever the hit count is above 200 hits. Making sure you're not in front of the target is pretty easy as Joker, seeing as how he can maneuver around the field very quickly with his dodges. The extra hit on skills is not bad either. It helps with hit count building, and if you've got some form of stun chance increases, it also helps with that. And of course, critical hit rate is also very good whenever you're fighting high difficulty bosses. And his last talent, Thief of World Reformation, increases his normal attack AP recovery by 100%, his attack by 30% whenever the hit count is above 100 hits. It gives him an air evasion, reduces his evasion AP cost by 80%, and his evasion speed by 100%. The normal attack AP recovery helps out Joker a lot because his normal attack is one of the best in the game. It's ridiculously fast, and then his attack stat is also quite low, sitting at 2700, but with the 30% it goes up to normal levels. The air evasion is only if you're using Downshot Butterfly, so it's not too bad, and the evasion AP cost reduction and evasion speed almost makes it seem like he's teleporting around the field. He's insanely fast. Now moving on to his battle skills, first up we have Slash. It has an attack multiplier of 1150%, it does 5 hits, costs 40 AP, and it's a close range skill. This is Joker's main damaging attack, and unfortunately it is quite slow, so it doesn't really work that well against mobile bosses, which means you do have to pick your opportunities carefully, and it also has a very high AP cost. Luckily he does have an AP cost reduction as long as you're not standing in front of the target, so this attack does take some practice. And then up next we have Aha. It has an attack multiplier of 420%, it does 2 hits, has a dark element, costs 24 AP, and it's a long range attack. This is a very fast long range skill, and it also doesn't cost a lot of AP, which means you could use it as combo filler. Overall, this is a pretty good attack. And then up next we have Edge and Gunsmoke. It has an attack multiplier of 350%, it does 2 hits, costs 19 AP, and it's also a close range attack. This is Joker's lowest AP costing skill, it's very fast, and it also gets 0.5 seconds of invincibility. Overall, it's very good as combo filler, so make sure you use this. And then we have Downshot Butterfly. It has an attack multiplier of 830%, it does 6 hits, costs 33 AP, and it's a long range attack. This is another big damage skill, although its damage output is quite a bit lower than Slash, but if you want to run a long range setup, then you definitely have to use this. And lastly, we have his Rush, Arsene Cosmic Flare. It has a 5500% attack multiplier, and as a post-rush buff, it reduces Joker's AP cost by 65% for 20 seconds. This Rush has one of the highest multipliers in the game, sitting at 5500%. Unfortunately, Joker has quite a low attack stat whenever his buffs aren't active, so before you use this, make sure that you're sitting above 100 hits, and in that case, make sure that you put this Rush at the end of the Rush chain. And then aside from that, the 65% AP cost reduction is very welcome in Joker's case because it means that he can spam Slash all he wants and up his damage output enormously. Now when it comes to his equipment, Joker has a very powerful event weapon at his disposal, the Attack Knife. It increases Downshot Butterfly's damage by 20%, increases Joker's Rush damage by 30% whenever the hit count is above 200 hits, and at max limit break you unlock 100% AP recovery whenever he perfect dodges. Of course, in most cases you want to be on element against the boss that you're fighting, but if that's impossible, then this is a very nice pair of neutral daggers for Joker. And aside from that, there's also a very nice set of daggers in the coin shop, the Sylvan Wing. They give you a wind imbuement, they increase stun chance by 15%, and you also unlock a 3% HP recovery every 5 seconds at max limit break. Extra stun chance is perfect for Joker, so unless you have a Makoto in your party, these daggers are also really good. And then lastly, a set of gacha daggers that was introduced recently, the Gold Twin Daggers. They have Dark Imbuement, Dark Damage plus 40%, they give you a 90-10 Guts, and at max limit break you unlock the last factor, which gives you extra crit rate against all enemies. These daggers have a nice attack stat, and they also increase your elemental damage, so overall it increases your damage output by a lot. The Guts is not really necessary for Joker, considering that he's already really fast, but it does increase your survivability by a bit, and the crit rate is also not necessary because Joker already has that. Now when it comes to accessories, you have a ton of different options, and most of the time you just want to go with something that increases your damage output, so I went with the Oirin's Hair Ornament, which increases your attack damage by 10% whenever your HP is at 100% against all enemies, and it gives you a 3% lifesteal. The lifesteal can help you survive a bit longer, and of course the attack damage increases your damage output. And when it comes to assists, just like with accessories, you have a ton of different options, and it just comes down to what you want to do. I like to run characters that decrease AP costs. You could also go with somebody like Claire who buffs damage. Now when it comes to Joker's battle skill setup, it depends on whether you want a close range or a long range setup. For the close range setup, which is what I like to use, I pick Edge and Gun Smoke because it's a very quick filler, Aha because again it's also a very good combo filler, and then lastly Slash to finish off the combo. And if you're trying to run the long range setup, you would replace either Slash or Edge and Gun Smoke with Downshot Butterfly, but that's personal preference. And for a combo, I recommend a normal attack into Aha, into Edge and Gun Smoke, into as many slashes as you can fit. Of course, always make sure that you're not standing in front of the enemy. It shouldn't be that difficult to do with Joker's speed, and then if you're running Vanguard, you could also alternate between Aha and Slash to get that bonus. Now when it comes to party setups, Joker of course benefits from having a lot of different buffs. So the first character I picked is Makoto. He can buff attack for the entire party by 40% or 60% depending on the hit count. He also buffs stun chance by 50% for the entire team, and post rush he can also buff crit rate by 60% and crit damage by 30%. And then I recommend a Maid Fiore. She increases the attack and in damage for the entire party by 30% or 50% depending on the hit count. She also has some tanking talents like reducing the attack and in damage the entire party takes by 25% and anti-flinch, so on and so forth. And then lastly, she also has some very good DPS. And lastly, I recommend an Eris to take advantage of Joker's int buff. She has a 40% attack to int conversion and a 40% int to attack conversion. She also has a 30% defense debuff, and lastly, she has very high TPS. Joker and Makoto pair up very well with each other, so if you want to run high difficulty content with Joker, consider bringing a Makoto along, and then any defender that can make the enemy stand still is also very good when paired with Joker, because of course you don't want the enemy to face Joker. In short, Joker is a very reliable attacker. Because he's very fast, he can avoid attacks very easily and retaliate very quickly, and he's also got built-in invincibility, which gives him a little bit of extra protection when he's attacking. All of that combined means that he can keep up the DPS very easily. He can fight at both long range and close range, which means you can adapt to any boss fight, and of course being an attacker he can also run Vanguard, which makes running hybrid setups even better. But unfortunately for Joker, his main attack Slash is quite slow. Most enemies are going to be moving around, so hitting every hit from Slash is going to be quite a challenge, and on top of that, its high AP cost also means that you can't really fit too many into your combo, which makes keeping up a high cancel bonus also pretty difficult. Regardless, Joker is still one of the best attackers in the game, and I would highly recommend that you use him, were it not for the fact that every single lobby is already filled to the brim with Jokers. And that does it for my Joker guide, so I think I'm going to do Makoto next and then Narukami last, so stay tuned for that, but hopefully that was helpful, and I guess I'll see you all later. Peace!